This is a essay written by someone who's studying English. It seems to be very accomplished, meaning that it has good structure and words. What I want to do is read this to you and then come back and explain some of these expressions. They are lots of idiomatic expressions here. Let me start then. When the police are suspicious about a man's activities, they are naturally very reluctant to make their suspicions known to the public. Within the privacy of the police station, we know very well that they are busily drawing up a list of suspects and among themselves considering those they suspect most of having committed a particular crime, referring to them as the prime suspect in this case. And when someone is, as we say, taken in for questioning by the police, all we are told through the press, radio, and television is that a man is helping the police with their inquiries. But you and I do not have to be so guarded in expressing doubt about what other people do or what they tell us. At the same time, nobody likes to be proved wrong. So to avoid calling someone a downright liar or totally disbelieving a piece of news which we have been given, there are several expressions at our disposal that enable us, in the event of our suspicions being groundless, still to keep our self-respect. At election time, politicians tend to promise us rich rewards if we vote for their party. But if you've heard many of these promises before, you may well have your doubts. I'm all in favor of people working a bit harder, but personally I have my doubt when the leader of the Central Party assures us we can double our standard of living through his policy of increased efficiency. These sensational advertisements in the newspaper may well cause you to smell a rat. I must admit I began to smell a rat when I saw in the paper this hotel offering a week's free holiday in July, and then I saw in very small print at the end that this offer only applied if it snowed continuously for 7 days. Someone's behavior may strike you as fishy. I thought it was very fishy to see this man walking down the street and trying several car door handles until I was told he was an actor being filmed for a TV play. Of course, you can't always explain what it is precisely that strikes you as odd or what it is about somebody that you don't quite trust. There's something that you can't quite put your finger on it. I don't know what it is really that I dislike about old George. I somehow can't quite put my finger on it. But whenever we meet, we never seem to hit it off. Excuses, however genuine they may in fact be, are occasionally a bit hard to swallow or sound rather far-fetched. I know he said he was late because he had to feed the cat, but when he explained that it had taken him 2 hours, well, that did seem a bit hard to swallow. Quite frankly, that story about his being unable to come because he got his toe stuck in the plug holes sounded rather far-fetched to me. For comment about people, he particularly people's behavior that appears out of character, we use the expression, it doesn't ring true. At first it didn't ring true when they told me Mr. Johnson had got married. After all, he had been a bachelor for 65 years. Events or situations that we can't explain cause us to remark, it doesn't add up. I had the car serviced at the garage yesterday and they found nothing wrong with it, and yet this morning the wretched thing refused to start. It just doesn't add up. In all the examples I have given, the doubter could well have been proved right or wrong in his suspicions, and when that time comes for the truth to be revealed, we can either exclaim with a certain pride, "There, what I did, I tell you," or more modestly muter, "Well, we all make mistakes." Of course, there are occasions when our informants tell us something that we regard as quite preposterous. Here are some unlikely pieces of information followed by subtly incredulous comments, suitably incredulous comments. "You know, that old car I bought, well, I did 100 miles an hour in it last night. Who are you trying to kid? If you let me have 500 pounds now, I'll double it for you by next week. You don't expect me to fall for that, do you? I'm afraid I have to pay a fine of £5 for parking here. Come off it. It's not as much as that, surely. We're hoping to spend our holiday on the moon next summer. Tell me another. And of course you'll need a passport cross from England to Scotland." How absurd. Well, this is sort of a long essay. Let's go through. I know I didn't speak it perfectly, but anyhow, it doesn't matter. Well, let's take some examples of words here that we might need to explain. Okay? Okay, here we have police station. We know very well they are busily drawing up a list of suspects. Drawing up means they're essentially creating a list of some type. And we use the expression drawing up a list, so it explains that we are making a list. And considering the suspect of having committed a particular crime as the prime suspect in the case. Prime suspect means the principal or the most important, the one that has most suspicion about them. And when someone, as we say, taken in for questioning, taken in means that they were taken to the police station, and we are told through the press, radio, television that a man is helping the police with their inquiries, but you and I do not have to be so guarded. Guarded meaning we're suspicious and expressing doubt about other people do or what they tell us. At the same time, in this moment, nobody likes to be proved wrong, so to avoid calling someone a downright liar, downright means more or less without doubt he's a liar, or totally disbelieving a piece of news. I think that pretty well explains it, that totally disbelieving, okay, which we have been given. There are several expressions at our disposal, available to us, that enable us, that permits us or allows us, in the event of our suspicions being groundless. Being groundless meaning they're probably not true, there's not enough evidence to support it. Still, to keep our self-respect. At election time, politicians tend to means there is a tendency, they often promise us rich rewards if we vote for their party. But you've heard many of these promises before and may have your doubts. I'm in favor of people working a bit harder. A bit is a word means a little bit, a little harder. But personally, I have my doubts when the leader of the Central Party assures us we can double our standard of living through his policy of increased efficiency. A sensational advertisement in a newspaper, sensational mean it's more or less made to appear as if it's nothing like it. I no doubt that this word is in Spanish. May well cause you to smell a rat. There we go. There's a nice idiom. To smell a rat means to not trust the person, that he's up to something that he's not telling us about. I must admit I began to smell a rat when I saw in the paper this hotel offering a week's free holiday in July, and then I saw in the very small print at the end that this offer only applied if it snowed continuously for 7 days. That is smelling a rat. It's not giving us all the facts. He's trying to trick us. Someone's behavior may strike you. Strike you mean that you might be aware that something is fishy. Fishy means that there's something wrong with the information. Fishy means it's probably not true. You're not telling us all the facts. I thought it was very fishy to see this man walking down the street and trying several car door handles until I was told he was an actor being made for a TV play. Of course, you can't always explain what it is precisely that strikes you, there again strikes you, that appears to you as odd, strange, or what is about somebody that you don't quite trust. There's something, but you can't quite put your finger on it. You can't quite explain what it is. Put your finger on it means, you can't quite say this is what the problem is. This is what is suspicious. You just don't quite aware of it. I don't know what it is really that I dislike about old George. I somehow can't quite put my finger on it. But whenever we meet, we never seem to quite hit it off. Hit it off means we don't quite connect. We don't quite understand each other. We maybe secretly don't like each other. Excuses, however genuine they may be in fact, are occasionally a bit hard to swallow. Hard to swallow means it's difficult to believe. Rather far-fetched. Far-fetched means it's beyond belief. I think he's more or less not telling me the truth, that he's exaggerating. I know he said he was late because he had to feed the cat, but when he explained that it had taken him 2 hours, well, that did seem a bit hard to swallow. Hard to swallow, to believe. Quite frankly mean honestly, very honestly, that story about his being unable to come because he got a toe stuck in the plug hole sounded rather far-fetched to me. I don't know what plug hole he's talking about, but sometimes there's holes in wood or whatever, and we call them plug holes. Okay, but I don't know what it means here. For comment about people's behavior that appear out of character, use the expression out of character, meaning it's not what he usually says. It doesn't ring true. Ring true mean it doesn't fit his character. Doesn't ring true, doesn't fit his character. At first, it didn't ring true when they told me Mr. Johnson had got married. After all, he's a bachelor for 65 years. Events or situations that you can't explain causes us to remark, it doesn't add up. You can understand, it doesn't add up. You know, you put it all together with the information, 65 years old and so forth, it just doesn't seem to be true, doesn't fit the character of the story. I had the car serviced at the garage yesterday, and they found nothing wrong with it. And yet this morning the wretched is a nice English expression, means the terrible or horrible thing, refused to start. It just doesn't add up. In other words, he told me there was nothing wrong, and yet I couldn't start the car. It just doesn't add up. It doesn't support what he told me. In all examples I have given, the doubter could well have proved right or wrong in his suspicions. But when the time comes for the truth to be revealed, we can either explain with certain pride that what did I tell you, or more modestly mutter, well, we all make mistakes.